theme park fans, and welcome to episode 70 of the E-Ticket Report. My name is Chris Wakefield, and I'm joined tonight by my co-host, Tommy Hawkins.
Hey.
And Ryan Barr.
How's it going?
Jalen Harvey will be with us shortly. He is indisposed at the moment. Okay, we wanted to hop on for you all because we have a lot of breaking theme park news that came out the last couple of days, and especially today. We will start with the new Disneyland annual pass holder program. And this is the most dorky, nerdy, annoying thing in the world, because it's almost like the last pass holder program. It's called Magic Key. And Tommy, the annual passes have been broken up into, it looks like 4 or 5 different tiers, just like the old pass holder program, but with the most annoying and dorky names you could ever imagine.
Oh man, I was said to you earlier, it's like they read like mobile phone contracts. Like, okay, you can pay this much up front, and then you're paying this much per month, and then you get this benefit and that benefit, and you get like unlimited phone calls and 4 gig of data. Like, I get it. It's nice that they've got them little different things, but yeah, you're right about the name. Like, oh my god. Like,
but the surprising thing is that now, if you would have asked me, we should have talked about this last show. If you would have asked me a month ago, a week ago, I would have said Disney is going to gouge these SoCal residents on the annual pass prices. They're going to just triple and double or quadruple the thing. Actually, some of the base rates are actually a bit lower than what annual pass rates were 2 years ago.
Yeah, so from what I can sort of observe, is some of the stuff which they're obviously trying to get away from is where, it's like sort of robbing Peter to pay Paul, is that they've managed to maybe keep the prices roughly the same, but you got the thing like the parking, right? So sort of my understanding of it is, and I might be wrong with sort of the culture of how it is, it's like you've got, obviously that it's regional and they're all locals, so they're rocking up in their individual cars. So currently with if they had free parking, you've got all these individuals all rocking up with getting free parking on, going on their own in their car. And then it seems that they've looked at it and gone, well, let's see if we can claw back some money that way through charging them to park and stuff like that. And obviously you got the blackout days. I tell you the super interesting thing that I thought was really, I don't know if you saw it in Scott Gustin's thread, is the no-show policy. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
I thought that's super interesting. That could be a very good thing for everybody, especially if they sort of like institute that at Disney World as well.
Well, so let's go through the tiers here real quick. You have the, and again, I did not come up with these names. You have the Imagine, the SoCal only pass at $400 a year. You have the Enchant. This is just cringe.
Enchant.
The Enchant pass at $650 a year. The Believe pass at $949 a year, and the Dream pass at $1,400 a year. All of these, except for the Dream pass, the higher tier pass, have blackout dates. There's a tiered system of parking and being paid for, not being paid for. For the Dream Pass, parking is free. For the Believe Pass, parking is half price, I believe. The other two, you got to pay for parking. And of course, you have stair-stepped discount programs. But Ryan, if I lived in SoCal, I'd be paying the $1,400 for the Dream Pass, because you can pay monthly now, of course, with a down payment. It's like $104 a month, I believe. This seems like a no-brainer for Disneyland people.
Oh, of course.
They're paying almost the same amount already.
$1,400 automatically from a large portion of that population.
Huge.
And
I mean, if you live in SoCal, you don't have an extra $100 a month for your entertainment budget. I mean, that seems like a layup for a lot of people.
Especially now that Avengers Campus just opened, and coverage on that was lacking because it was hard to get on this Spider-Man ride. So people will want to go as much as possible. I don't know. Like you said, the names for these are cringe, and I think it's just something to confuse people. I don't know what their idea is here, or I guess the fact that someone can call themselves a key holder probably gives them that little ego boost that they want
Oh my
from
God.
the
Yeah,
Oh,
wait until they get a phone call at 3 a.m. when they've got to answer because someone's broken into like the freaking Matterhorn or something like that. Well, you're a key holder now, so that means you've got to do nighttime security.
Yeah.
It's the same people. I just saw this on the thread. The same people who own like 5 shares of stock and then go and tell Disneyland employees, "I'm your boss." Like that's.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But yeah, of course, the people who go often enough are not going to pay for parking every time, so they're going to get the first one, the most expensive $1,400 one, Dream or whatever.
Well, if you're like me, you know where to get free parking around Disneyland.
Yeah, true. So you could go with the $1,000 option there, Chris. That could save you some money. You could spend that on,
Can I ask a question?
your jerseys.
Can I ask a question in terms of like, obviously the way you vacation is pretty different to how I do. But if you were a pass holder for Disneyland and you wanted to do a trip, would that, because you can do 6 park reservations in a 90-day window, would that be enough for you to do like a regular trip, or is that per park? So can you only do?
I think it's 6 altogether. And this is the problem with the program is that the SoCal people, and I have a lot of SoCal friends out there, Tommy Allison and Chris Allison, and a lot of people I know in SoCal who I meet up with the parks with, Paul Berry, and of course Dusty at Mice Chat. They just show up whenever. Like, hey, I got some extra time today after work. I'm going to head over to Disneyland. With this system, you've got to make a reservation beforehand. And of course, it's a 90-day window. And of course, those days aren't all filled up, we don't think. But this presents a problem, and again, with the theme of Disney in the last 5 years, it ruins the spontaneity of a trip to the parks, and it adds some issues. The lower down the system you go, the less reservations you can make at once. So, Tommy, to answer your question, 6 at once is enough for me and my trip with my family. But if I live there, I'd be getting kind of nervous about that because, especially if I live in Orange County, which I would never live in Orange County because they're crazy over there. But if I did, I'd want to go, almost every day after work. I just pop over if I have the pass and I have no blackout dates.
If you, the only example I can really get like that, where I know it's not quite the same, but Cineworld, which is Regal owned, like I've got the unlimited pass, so basically I can only book like one film at a time, but it's got kind of one of them things where it's like, oh, shall I go to cinema tomorrow? And then I book it the night before. If there's availability, i.e. if I can get to see my film, then it's all good. But really the problem with that is if, say you spontaneously want to go tomorrow and it's booked up, then that must just kill that vibe, right?
Right. Yeah. And again, I'm the kind of person that like when I head to SoCal, I hit up my friends and go, hey, I'll be there next week or I'll be there in 4 days. I don't give them 3 months notice to get their park passes. I might have to.
One flaw I might see just looking at this, the first I read about this was a half hour ago. So, but what's stopping people from abusing the system like FastPass? Like bloggers in Orlando used to just book fast passes every single day, as many as they can, even if they weren't going to show up for them. And then
yeah, Tommy touched on that. If you have more than 3 cancellations in a month, three cancellations
out for 30 days, I believe. So yeah, if you don't show, so they're not going to be able to do that, right? They've got to, if you're a vlogger that does a weekly DCA vlog, and then for some reason you decide that you don't want to go next Monday or whatever, then if you do that, let me check. Free.
Actually, sorry, to clarify that, Ryan, it's 3 no-shows. You can cancel up to the night before at 11:59. The night before you can cancel.
God.
So you're still right. So locals can just hold up a bunch of passes and then the night before go, never mind. So that does present a problem.
Exactly, dude. We're gonna have all the bloggers and Instagram lifestylers just blocking up all the week of reservations and canceling them the night before if they don't care about going. But all those $1,400 passes are going to be on just like the bloggers down in Florida, just always on their phone refreshing, checking to see if it pops up,
Right. Yeah. Jalen, if you're with us, I'm assuming you would buy the highest tiered Magic Key at Disneyland, right?
Probably, I guess so. Because, if I lived in California, yeah. Yeah, because it's the only way. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is the no free parking. That's like or like included parking, because that's the huge. Here, the only way you can get around is by car, especially in California and in Orlando. So taking that away is crippling.
So maybe I should just sell my guidebook to where to find free parking around the country, because I can get you to Disneyland to Catella in like 15 minutes, just off the highway, very safe neighborhood. I walk it all the time with my kid. I got a business idea here, I think.
Oh my God.
You're going to end up with a car, coming back to a car with no rims.
Oh my God. Just on
the
blocks.
unofficial guide. The unofficial guide to free parking around Disneyland.
Just on freaking cinder blocks. Jesus.
No transmission inside of it.
Nothing.
Just make the text on the cover really thin and red and white, so it kind of looks like another unofficial guide.
So,
oh yeah, I'll
so do you
license
think
it out.
people might just start? I assume that a lot of people will be like meeting up with friends. So, do you think they'll just like carpool? And
No. I think a lot of them are going to get the higher tier pass. What's the cringy name it has?
Dream,
Enchanted or Magic or Wish?
Dream, yeah, you have to dream.
The Dream pass. A lot of them.
Oh my God,
I think most people are going to fork over the $1,400 and get the one with the free parking, because it's so $100-something bucks a month. It's a no-brainer. Now, I think Disney made the prices so low, quote unquote, compared to what they were last time, because they plan to jack up the price twice a year, every year.
Jesus H, twice a year. Good Lord.
That's what they were already on that track. We were getting sometimes price increases twice a year.
Wasn't it? It was something, if I remember rightly, it was like, I can't remember what your inflation is, but say inflation's 2.5%. They like Disney were jacking it up like 5% every time. It was well above inflation.
Yeah. Definitely. I think that's why you see the prices, quote unquote, so low, because they want the buzz of, oh my God, it's not that expensive. And they've already, once they got you, then come December and then come next March or whenever,
but how does that work out? Because surely, like a phone contract, if you've done so much up front and then you've agreed your monthly thing, surely they can't change it except for 12 months later.
Right, your renewal date. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is your next renewal date is when it will come up. Yeah, and who's not? I mean, once you've got the pass, you're back at Disneyland. You're back on the Matterhorn. You're back to saying you're an annual pass holder, which is a big thing for them out there. Is to tell you they're an annual pass holder. That's worth half the price for them. You're going to tell your kids no. Once you already have the passes, you're going to renew that thing. And again, the monthly contracts. There was a lot of people in SoCal who were really upset that they offered monthly payments, because that might let poor people in.
Yeah.
Again, we were talking about on Twitter, low-key poverty shaming, like, the monthly passes, if they just got rid of that, it would all be better. That monthly access, that monthly payment allows them to access so much more of the market.
It does, especially in Orlando. You know, Universal sells a lot of those, especially during quarantine. Well, in the months after quarantine, after they reopened, when they were selling that ticket to Florida residents, pay for one day, get come back the rest of the year free. They would never do anything like that in California.
I think the only problem that I see is just they're wanting to make their money back by having, it's going to be cheaper. I think somebody released recently just released the difference in pricings, even though it's the same thing. And I think the highest tier is down by like $200-$300. But if you go there enough, say you go there, I mean, you can have 6 times a week if you want to be for 90 days out. That's almost $30. That's $180. And say you go, hell, it's Disneyland. They go almost damn near every week, more than every week.
Exactly.
They're going to make back all of their money by the little frivolous stuff. As here, where we can kind of get away with that by just squeezing more stuff out of the people who are just here temporarily. Over there, if you have nothing but pass holders, you got to get creative on ways to squeeze more money out of them.
True.
So parking made sense.
Yeah, I mean that's the language. If you listen to any of the earnings calls, essentially, they do love to talk about per cap spending and how per cap spending's gone up. And obviously, currently at the moment, Disney World is operating more like Disneyland in the sense that you've got no international visitors. So that's something they're really keen to keep like pressing to shareholders are per cap spending's up, blah, blah, blah. So I think you're right in that respect, Jay, that they're going to look at ways of squeezing more money out of people. But don't you say that like people just rock up to Disneyland and then like they'll be like bring their own sandwiches and all that kind of crap? Do you think they be a bit more strict with them, that kind of stuff like that? Like, do you think they can?
No, because that's such a part of the SoCal culture for some people to bring your own lunch in and things like, or eat your own lunch in downtown Disney, stuff like that. They're going to be just fine making back the price per head from each pass holder. I don't think it's a problem.
They're steering more people towards that upper limit by disincentivizing the lower ones, yeah?
Sort of. I just think they know that they have a really captive audience who will pay. And again, I think let's look at the price 3 years from now. It's going to be a lot more than $1,400. Yeah. I guarantee you. So it's just like when Peacock gives you a month free, and then they hit you because they know they got you captive after that first month. Disney's doing the exact same thing here. A low entry point, low, in quotes by their terms. And then once they got that credit card number,
well, that's pretty much what they did with Disney Plus, isn't it? You had the first year that kind of heroin method of, I don't know what it worked out for you guys, but it was about $7 or something like that. $6.
Yeah.
Like $6 or $7 a month. Yeah, like you said, some people were getting it free for the first year, and then they just snuck in this August for us in Europe, like a £2
Didn't some people
increase.
The smart people bought in for 3 years at 150, right?
Didn't Grassi do that?
Yeah, that really great deal. Yeah, that really good deal.
That's a pretty good deal. Yeah.
Move.
All right, so I want to move on. We just got breaking news from Scott Gustin that Disney World will resume annual pass sales in time for the start of the 50th celebration. I canceled my AP right when COVID started. I said, nope, not doing this, not giving them free money. Jalen, as the only Orlando local, Central Florida local, do you currently have a Walt Disney World annual pass?
I was just there the other day, yeah. Yeah, no, okay. It's I mean, it kind of shook out really great for us. Like for Disneyland, I can see how it was hell because they were shut down, but quarantine for us only lasted 2 or 3 months. Like it really wasn't that long, and the parks were open. And oh my God, those first few weeks when nobody was there was just the most beautiful time. I actually got to enjoy Magic Kingdom. So yeah, it was.
Oh yeah. Actually, I want a correction. I bought my AP in January of 20. Our trip for March got canceled. I used it in July and then canceled after my July trip. And you're right. I was there, I think the second week it opened. Oh my God. I felt like you were back in the day, like on a random Tuesday.
It even stayed that way for the rest of the summer, as long as you went to a park that didn't have that many reservations, Like I went to Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, did Rise, no problem. And everything else easily with no wait, no fast pass, of course. And I never even bothered going to Epcot, but I imagine you didn't even have long wait times for Frozen. So
it was Epcot was a little more disparaging because you kind of need the international people there, and you also need all of that outdoor entertainment to really pull it together. So a lot of it was just kind of like Epcot light, like if you ever played Toontown online back in the day, it was like that. It was just basically this area is just a starter area that's very dead and nobody's here. Like you're not going to get the full game.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Epcot back in May, and that's how it felt. It's just like it really is Epcot. Diet Epcot or whatever.
Well, I think what this news tells us is that there are a lot of people who said Disney hates annual pass holders. They're going to get rid of them forever after this. This is the end of APs. I think this reinforces obviously the opposite, and it may show that the ordinary non-AP market for guests is shrinking or not growing as fast as they want it to. I think a lot of day guests are not coming back to Walt Disney World, at least at the rate they thought they were. We can also see that by the amount of hotels that are still closed, by the amount of restaurants that are still have capacity. And that's not just a labor shortage. That is Disney looking and saying, we can open this, but we're not going to fill 80% of our beds. So let's not
Star
open
Cruiser.
Well, we can. God. For me, I think it just comes down to the fact that even we thought that COVID was done. Well, not even just us, but the whole world thought after we got vaccinated and everything like that, things were going to calm down and that borders were going to start opening, and they still haven't. And we don't know what the future holds. But a better safe bet is to rely on APs. That's what's been keeping them afloat over here for the past year. Were the APs who were able to come in and spend the money and be here. So I could get why they need to have more local. For once, it's weird. It's almost like Disneyland, where like you need more locals. The thing that's keeping Disney World open more is the local market and the people around those areas who want to keep going back. So it makes sense. They can't rely on international guests. They can't even rely on internal guests here in the States. You don't really, although I have seen, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, it actually brings up a point that if you, the other day we had the earnings call for Comcast, so obviously NBC Universal, and what was being said about Universal was, first of all, they're back in the black, so they're making money again. This last quarter they've made money, and they basically said, talking about what you was just talking about, like despite the fact that we don't have international guests, we're still making money. And they've basically, because of that pent up demand, they've managed to fill the gaps in like the lack of people like myself not coming over, which is probably about 20-25% of their usual like yearly guests. They've managed to fill that guest. But I think probably what you were just saying about, I think what it seems what Disney World are doing, if you look at the Disney Comeback Index, is there's still a lot of entertainment and stuff like that they're still holding back, and I just feel like they probably are sitting on some of that until like the borders open and they start getting like Brits and Brazilians and whatever coming through. There's a lot that they're deliberately artificially holding back, and they just don't want to spend the money, and they're just going to nickel and dime it until we're back.
They do have college programmers coming in for the first time in a while, so that fills in a lot of gaps, and they'll probably add more and more, especially after they open up that new dorm. I guess they're opening a new campus or whatever for them, apartments near Flamingo Crossings. But so the workforce is an interesting topic because Universal's putting up billboards promoting to apply there, and like 12 pages on their application website for positions.
What in terms of, so like I said, so if you look at the comeback index, a lot of the stuff is entertainment. So who normally, in terms of workforce, who normally fills those roles? So
entertainers.
No, I know that, but you know what I mean. Is it locals? Do they rely on like? Is it like DCP? Are they doing some of the walk around characters? Who's filling those roles? Where are they getting the?
So a lot of your walk-arounds can be DCP. Your stage shows itself, of course, that's actors, your unions, your equity-based actors. So that involves negotiations and with unions and a lot of
it's really heavy, but
a lot of stuff. So
Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor and Beauty and the Beast Live on Stage are both definitely actors guild positions in those entertainment spots, and those are coming back. So
those are coming back. So
it's a weird choice of entertainment to bring back. But.
Well, those are coming back for now. Again, the problem is that you've got to negotiate with unions, and we've seen Bob Chapek, who we're going to talk more about here in a second, starting to transition to everyone's an actor on stage. Everyone in Galaxy's Edge, that's an actor. But we don't got to pay them an actor's wage or go to an actor's union to get them. So I wouldn't. The future of stage shows at Disney World is going to be very interesting in the next 5 years.
In attractions to welcoming them. Like You know, the
Oh my
tour
god.
guide
Jesus,
on the Living with the Land. The list is endless, but
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I want to move on. I mentioned Bob Chapek, and we had this huge blow up last week. And when I first saw this, I was like, okay, wait a second. I own my own business. I thought I knew how business worked. How did Disney not cut this Scarlett Johansson problem off
Yeah.
at the pass and just pay her? Why did
Yeah.
it get to the point of a lawsuit? We have now Scarlett Johansson suing the Walt Disney Company because she feels like she was not properly compensated for Black Widow. Did they just forget to send an email? How did this break down so bad?
I think they were going to coast on the whole thing with with just saying, oh, the pandemic happened, but you can't really say that when you're making money right now. Oh, you rush. They got a week before all this happened. Chapek, or 2 weeks before this all happened, Chapek was applauding Florida for being so loose with COVID that they were able to open up this stuff, and getting mad at California for being very strict about making COVID and keeping them from opening up their parks. And then you want to pull them and be like, oh, well, we can't give her money during COVID because COVID just went down and, it's stressful times. They're like, no, you can't do that, you hypocrites.
But Disney knew they were going to put the movie on Premiere Access on Disney Plus. Scarlett Johansson knew that also. Did they not have a conversation in the interim and afterwards about this? The lawsuit should not have been a surprise to Disney.
All of this
right?
definitely does come off there's people who have been working with each other for the past 10 years, and they both knew the score of what was going on. It's just outlandish to me that Chapek thought that he could get away with this. I mean, hell, even Kevin Feige, he's pissed off about it.
Feige
living on
saying,
a beach somewhere.
Feige saying he now covering himself, saying he didn't, he wanted them to make it right with Scarlett.
Because he probably knew, he said he wanted to make it right. So he knew all of this was going on.
Right.
He knew. And he just thought, at the end of the day, they were going to be able to squash it. But, even Scarlett Johansson, she was pissed off about how Disney responded, because it's just hypocritical. It's really hypocritical to sit here and say, we can't give you money when you just condemned.
There's two things going on here. I've got to be careful how I word this, because I was trying to look at it more objectively this week, and then I was getting people basically accusing me of knighting up for Disney when that's not the case. But there's a couple of different things going on here, and it's very hard to fully get to the bottom of exactly what's what. But there seems to be the issue of, was she getting points on the Premier Access income? And it seems that she wasn't. From what I could make out, it seems that she was maybe expecting about 5% gross on the theatre ticket sales. So there's that.
Yeah.
There's that aspect. There's that one aspect where it appears that they may or may not have given her a cut. Either way, that's quite a small, relatively, that's quite a small amount of money. So they're saying 60 million on Premier Access. So if she's on 5% points, she's owed about $3 million, right? Which, considering in 2019 she earned around $56 million for the work she did, for her that's quite small pennies. I'm not saying that she doesn't deserve that money, because absolutely, if they're generating income on other sales through Premier Access, the artists are entitled to their cut. But there seems to be another aspect where she's fighting for the theatrical window, and she's saying it should have been 90 to 120 days. That's what my contract says. Now, my sort of slight cynicism on that aspect of it is, that's where they might be using the COVID card, because I know you guys in America, it kind of probably feels a little bit like things are going back to normal, but that's not necessarily the case in the other territories. So Disney could, in the legal aspect, say, look, we wasn't able to do a full theatrical release. Many of the territories are going back into lockdown. That's why we felt that we maximized income. We opened it release, but we also did Premier Access. And actually, they could argue, well, if we didn't do Premier Access, it would have would have earned $60 million less, right? So that's fair enough. Not whether you agree with that or not, I'm just playing sort of devil's advocate on what they could argue.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
But
just
also,
pay
why
her.
make
At some point, she
why
had to go to
make the-
Disney and say,
why make the
I'm
public
unhappy
statement?"
with this. I'm unhappy. And the studio exec should have said, okay, ScarJo's
Give her
unhappy.
her
She's one of our
money.
hottest stars right now. How much does she want?
Yeah, like if
Pay her.
ScarJo
Boom,
want her
and
money,
be
give
done
her
with
her
it.
money. I think y'all should give her money. Like,
But why make the public
any-
statement blaming
This isn't
COVID in
complicated.
the first place?
If she wants the-
No, because the stuff that was coming out was about the 90 to 120 day window. That's what I'm saying. There's two different things. She's not just saying pay up
I know that.
bitches.
Right.
She's saying, oh, it should have been a theatrical release. Now, my thing is because there was these statements attributed to inverted commas close sources that she felt that it could have earned $1 billion, and that's why she's owed 70 million. Now, if Disney was sitting on, it's made just under 400 million. So if Disney was sitting on 600 million on Premier Access sales, then pay the fuck up. But it's made a pittance. So that's where I'm a little bit more cynical, because realistically, if you look at like Fast 9 versus Fast 8, Fast 8 made 1.2 billion, Fast
Oh,
9 made
God.
600 million, right? Now, they're pretty much the same film. Like, whether you like it or not, there's not going to be that much critical difference between the two. There's clearly, that had a full theatrical window. Like, the films aren't making the money that they were in 2019. It's just not happening. So there's that aspect of, well, maybe if it had a full theatrical release, she would have been earning less money than what she's getting now. But that all boils down to them making sure that she gets the cut on every single like dollar that comes through. I will never like say that she's not owed the money, but it's just if it gets into the woulda, shoulda, coulda ballpark of, oh well, it would have made $1 billion,
Right.
maybe,
Yeah.
but I could say so and so would have made $1 billion, or like that kind of opens the door a little bit of an actor going, well,
Right.
the first movie made this, so I think I need this. Like
It's just, again, if I were in a studio and one of my hottest actors
Yeah.
is upset, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure it does not get to this level. I want to say, how much money do you want? Can we meet in the middle? Can we work
100%.
some out? Can I give you points in the next movie? Yada, yada, yada. That speaks to the mismanagement that we read about this week on The Wrap, where there is a rift between Bob Iger and Bob Chapek. Apparently, those two are not getting along, and one of these days a very juicy book will come out that's going to detail not only the Iger era but Iger's very prompt exit from his spot as a Disney CEO, and it will detail this rift with Bob Chapek. I hope to God one day some journalist is writing his book right now, because there's a
Yeah,
lot
I mean,
in between the lines that we don't
I
know about
joked
right
with
now.
you, didn't I? Replied and said like, and this is not me defending Shayback at all, because it literally fills me with almost anxiety, the thought of Iger finally going and having no final creative control or anything in what 6 months time, 4 months time even. So it's not me defending that, but would
Right,
you really like
right.
it if you'd just been
And-
given a promotion, been told you're the boss, and then your old boss is still around for an extra 2 years, and really he's the one that's actually like making the decisions? Like, you get why there might be animosity from Shapek, whether he's in the right or not. But at the same time,
not to mention,
Yeah. Well, and it also doesn't.
that's
It
the
also
thing.
doesn't hurt
I
that
do wonder.
Chapek
My
sucks as a
thoughts
CEO.
is, whether Iger maybe wanted Kevin Mayer, because obviously when the whole Iger said he's going, and then it got announced for Chapek, Mayer was out the door straight away, and he was. The way it was structured was that Kevin Mayer wasn't answering to Bob Chapek; he was answering direct to Iger. So Chapek and Mayer were equals. Yeah.
Yeah, you had a really big like Michael Ovitz situation where he didn't have any real power,
Yeah.
Huh.
And so
so
obviously,
to speak. And for those who don't remember, Bob Iger, like one random Tuesday, was like, "I'm not CEO anymore,"
Yeah.
and then 2 weeks later,
He
or a week
completely,
later,
like,
COVID hit.
switched
Like it was
out.
like.
like he knew
I have
the
to
writing was
leave
on
for
the wall.
some
I can
reason.
get why
Bye.
Chapek would be a little pissed off, or not a little pissed off. You literally like switched out and were like, "Go here," and threw him out into just not having any prior warning whatsoever, and just a shitstorm, just not to deal with. And then Iger Iger realized it and then backtracked and came back, but still,
yeah. Although I had heard from someone who did work quite high up in Disney HR that the successor was decided a while back. So I don't think. I think Chapek knew that he was getting the job for a while. So I don't think it wasn't like dropped in his lap. But I just think, obviously, I don't know. I don't know. I reckon if that book does get written, it'll say that Iger might have had other ideas about who should take over. Probably quite rightly. I think I'm not sure that Chapek. I know it's good to be like jump on the I hate Chapek bandwagon, but I'm like forgetting all of that aside. I think that there could have been someone else that's probably better at doing the job.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Ryan, you're at Disneyland Paris and you want to ride Space Mountain right now. How much would you pay to ride Space Mountain at Disneyland Paris right now on top of your park admission?
On top of my park admission. So how much should I pay to get in?
What is it? We'll say $140. You got a park hopper.
Good God.
All right.
Okay.
I got a lot of hypothetical questions, but I'll just get to it. So their Space
awesome.
Mountain's pretty cool, right?
It's the best. It's the Jules Verne one.
I don't even know if the wait times are that long, but to guarantee a ride,
There's a 35-minute wait for Space Mountain. How much are you paying to get on right now?
dude, I'm not paying to get on if it's a 35-minute wait. Are you kidding?
Well, this could be the future of Disney parks here in the United States. What's the program called in Paris? I'm blanking on it.
Premier Access.
I mean, that's what I thought it was. The same as their Disney Plus. Yeah. Someone did not arrange a meeting to work this out with the studios, but now we're seeing prices today debut for things like Space Mountain, which Buzz Lightyear was a higher price than Space Mountain today. So it seems like it's dynamic pricing based on wait times where you can pay for a fast pass to get in line right there at that moment. And people obviously are freaking out, saying, oh my gosh, this is too much money. Some people are bastardizing it, saying Disney is charging you to get on rides after you pay to get in. That's not true. And some people are saying, you know what? If this eliminates FastPass Plus and everything else in the meantime, then I'm for it. Let's go.
Well, I'm not paying
this structure. Please. Yeah, people will lose their minds if we get this structure same imported from Paris. It's just it looks wacky.
There's a few positives, right? So
I do like
one thing from what I was reading today is that it seems that Disney have got a pretty good idea with how many people they're willing to allow into whatever queue, right? So if you take if I remember rightly from what Lynn was saying, that the Disney World model is like 80% of people are going in the fast pass line for a ride, right? So if that flips around to 80% of people in the standby line and only 20% or less have the ability to fast track, then that obviously speeds up the standby line for everyone, right? But it also says to me, if the price is going up and down, they've got the they know what supply they've got, and they can just manipulate the demand by the price. So that's could be a positive. Like if it does move to Disney World in that same world, that could be a positive because that's going to mean quicker standby queues for everyone. But it also means that you're not going to be standing there watching 1,000 people walk past you because the fast pass line for Buzz Lightyear is like ridiculously cheap, and everyone's thinking, well, yeah, I'll just jump the queue. So here's a question for you, Chris. You and Eric have taken Aria to Disney World, and the one thing that she's obsessively told you she wants to do is go on Buzz Lightyear. How long are you willing to wait? Like, let's just jump the queue. I'm not having a 2 or 3 year old wait an hour and a half in line. Like, what is your limit before you go, actually, no, I'll spend the money?
Because the wait times for Buzz can get up there, especially in Orlando. Right? It can get up to 90 minutes.
I think it's insane. I think it's insane to pay. But especially, I mean, if it's your first time and your only time, I guess. But we've all ridden these rides 1,000 times before. So anything above like $5 is just like, come on.
I was just going to say, I just think you've got to remember, this was what I've seen on Twitter today. Certain people that can literally go to Disney World whenever they want, ride Buzz Lightyear whenever they want. That's your one trip in 2 years, and you have got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and that's the most accessible thing that you think that your family can go on, like, and it's not breaking the bank, and like literally it saves you an hour and a half of not having to just deal with impatient, whiny kids, then maybe you would pull out your wallet, because you know you're only going to do this trip once in the next 2 years. So
I think it depends, because like Buzz gets up
Yeah.
to 90 because
that's kind of
of
what
the
I'm saying.
fast pass queue. That's the whole
Yeah,
reason.
that's true. It was because of Fast Pass. Now that there isn't Fast Pass, it's probably
I mean-
it's still around 40, but
40? That thing eats and
I-
spits up people like it's just a nonstop Omni mover. Yeah, it doesn't have the best capacity, but I have not, even right now during COVID times with the thing, well, not even in COVID times, right now, where it's all the way to like COP, it's 30 minutes. The line just does not stop unless it has to
it
like.
does keep
yeah.
moving. It does keep moving, but the
the problem is that
Omni movers have actually become more inefficient as time goes on, as
Do your
people's
research.
average IQ goes down. Just the simple fact that they can't get on the ride quick enough.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah.
Well, and also you think about that side of the park. MILF is down. There's no more Stitch. Everyone can't ride Space Mountain. So in Tomorrowland, there's only like 1 or 2 things everyone can do,
Okay. You know,
and that's one of them.
But
It's either
surely it's
that or
only going to
some
get worse,
People
because
Mover.
you know
Or,
once
Yeah,
Tron
People Mover.
or the
opens,
cars.
if it ever opens, you know that it will be, maybe they'll do Splash Mountain, and then after that they're going to pull down Space Mountain because it's like just knackered. So you know, not pull it down. I don't mean pull it down. I mean take it down.
If they do, if they do have a pay to play, like if they do have a pay to play system, they have to have it in play
Yeah,
before Tron, before Guardians.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure those ride systems will be, working well by the time it opens. They are inherently, slow loading ride
because
systems
of them,
with,
yeah.
with
Right.
big vehicles, but long load times. So
All right, give me your predictions now. Guardians Cosmic Rewind opens. How much will a Fast Pass be opening week?
$15, $20.
You think it's gonna be that cheap?
Holy
I
shit.
think for Guardians, we're talking 35, 45, maybe
Jesus.
60, maybe 60. Maybe you have to pay the price of a
Jesus.
video game to get on this ride
Jesus.
without waiting. We're saying without waiting.
Yeah.
We're
Without
saying
waiting.
without waiting for a ride on opening
I would
summer.
not be surprised at $40. I would not be surprised.
Jesus,
40, 45
like,
bucks.
but the fucked up thing about that is I feel like Standby is going to suffer more because you already know there's going to be a bunch of bloggers and people who are going to shell out the amount of money
I
because
think
it's new and it's
the
like,
thing
it's
is-
$40.
Well,
and they
it's
fork
too
it
damn
over.
bad. we'll do
The thing
return
is with
times
that,
like Paris
what I
is
think
doing.
we're going to get. I know
Jesus
everyone's
H.
kind of
Christ,
expecting
y'all.
it to be like Rock and Roller Coaster, but I think it's probably going to operate a bit more like Space Mountain. That you're going to get these, 20-second dispatches on these cars because it's so long. It's so long, and there's going to be so many show scenes that potentially the throughput actually will be like really good. Like I don't want to eat my words, but I think the Guardians, the throughput could be pretty good.
What are we
'cause
talking
it's
about?
so long,
Guardians?
and there's so many blocks.
It is long. I'm hoping that because as far as I know, everything that happens in the show building is basically, Space Mountain / Rock and Roller Coaster in the dark with lights and projections. No scenes per se where you slow down and watch something. So hoping
No,
that
you're gonna-
before the launch
You're
or
going to
after
get
the
a show
launch, we
scene.
get something.
I've modelled it on
something show scene
that
like.
thing that I've been building, and you've got like a show scene straight in, but I've been modelling it, and I've kind of been doing it with like 20-second dispatches. So you just send one train out, and then it goes through, and by the time you've got the launch and stuff like that, but there's pretty much definitely going to be at least one lift hill, if not one lift hill plus another launch somewhere in the show building. So there's going to be lots of sections where they can just keep chucking more and more trains in. So that's why I said it's going to operate a bit more like Space Mountain than your standard, like, wait for a train to come back kind of vibe.
Right. And again, think about Jalen. Think how much people would have paid to ride Hagrid's when the line was 4
That's
hours
true.
long and 5 hours long when that opened up. And if you're an AP, and you don't feel the impact of your ticket all at once. So I'm paying $50 a month. What's $40 for this one
That's
ride?
true.
And I want to go home.
That is true.
I think there's a lot of possibility there. So if it's not confirmed that this is actually coming to the United States, but I think we're all in agreement this is going to be here in the next year.
Oh, yeah, I can
two, right?
see some level of this being tested out, whether it's a max pass to just get the foot in the door or just full-blown premium pass or whatever. I hope they don't call it the premium access, because that's just dumb. But, yeah, probably.
Since you brought up Hagrid's, you do not know how angry people are. The normie guests, when they figure out that with their $200 a head express pass doesn't get them through Hagrid's Express, because there is no express.
Yeah. As it should be. Every theme park attraction should have one standby line and one single rider line, period.
I mean, not every ride could use a single rider line, though.
As someone who rides single rider, I want a single rider line at every theme park attraction.
It really depends on what type of ride vehicle that is, dude. It really does. I mean, and do you really want to? It depends. It really does.
Where do you put the single rider line in Tower of Terror? Where do you put it?
Mm-hmm.
Where?
To the back door.
Back door.
Well,
yeah, you just let them onto the back.
I mean, that's a whole nother logistical thing. That's a whole nother. But I do agree that there should be, for big attractions like that are very slow loading, there should be, except no single rider on what's that called, on Mania, or especially Mania. Mania is just sad. Same thing with Smuggler's Run. Those are party attractions. You got to have friends to do that. If you're just doing it alone,
that's me.
That's sad, Chris. That's a sad way to live.
Unless Ryan meets me at the park, and Ryan can attest to this, it's always just me. Unless Ryan meets me there.
Smuggler's Run does have a singles line.
They do,
right?
yes.
And it's very efficient.
An engineer's line. It's not a single rider.
That's all. Yeah, that's all it is. It's just
I don't know. I think me and my brother went through singles once, and they were just waiting for people to come through the pre-show, and we were the only ones there, so they just put us.
Ryan, you can probably talk to more about this, but from experience of when I did the single rider for Hagrid's, it was actually pretty much slower.
Oh, single riders for Hagrid's is a nightmare, dude. I tell people not to do it 100%. It fills up so fast, and once you get that line, people just always rush to it. Once it gets to like 120 people, if you get in the back of that line where it gets to like the bridge outside or by the stairs, you're talking a 90-minute wait plus for single riders, which is not fun because you're only moving an inch every 5 minutes. So
yeah,
that's rough.
Yeah, you just need a kid and you get on all these rides instantly.
That's rough. It helps to have a 2-year-old to do child swap. That's what I recommend. That's half the reason I had my kid.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And she's almost tall enough now for Pterodon Flyer. So once that happens, I'm booking a flight down the next day. All right. So we saw a lot of news that Disney is reimposing a mask mandate.
Oh,
and Disney
Lord.
is doing this in Orlando. Really, it was Orange County, right, who said, you got to start wearing a mask indoors again. And Disney just complied with that order. But the bigger news is they are mandating every cast member. I shouldn't laugh. They're mandating every cast member has to get a vaccine, asterisk, or submit to daily or weekly testing, right?
Is that daily or weekly? Really? I thought they were just.
I don't remember which one it is, but you gotta have a vaccine or regular testing.
Okay. I mean, damn, I thought it was just they want to 86 them and you're gone. I'm glad that they gave people those options to, get daily tested. If that's what you want to do, then yeah, I guess. But I would just get the shot just to not have to go through the daily. If you're like somebody who's diabetic, well, you should probably have the vaccine anyway. But if you're somebody who's diabetic and you already have to go do pain every day to check your like blood sugar, then this would be nothing for you. But if you're just a regular person who doesn't have any of those type of, situations, I don't want to have my nose cavity searched every time I go into work, especially if I work at Disney where I have to be submitted to a bunch of guests and bullshit. Just shoot me up.
Do you not have the lateral flow home tests in America?
Do we?
We have the test I took in the Dominican last month was a nose test, but they didn't go as deep. So
Wait, so what did you mention, Tommy?
So basically, what they did here in the UK is so obviously they'll do a PCR test, your standard COVID test, if you've got symptoms,
Yeah.
right? So you can send away, like you can get it delivered to your door pretty much next day, and then you send it off, and then pretty much within 48 hours you know whether you've got COVID. But what they did to catch the asymptomatic cases is that you were able to go very easily on the UK government website, order lateral flow tests. It arrives pretty much the next day, and it's a kit of 7 swabs, and you basically do your nose and your like tonsils, and then you've got this little kit that you put it in, and it basically looks like a pregnancy test. So you put like 2 drops on this paper, and if you get 2 lines, you're pregnant or you've got COVID, one of the two, right? But they made these free in the UK. So what people have been able to do is like track whether they've got it or not, and obviously it's picking up the cases, the asymptomatic cases. So that's probably why,
right.
to the outside world, it looks like our COVID cases are ridiculously high. But that's partly because the testing is what
Yeah,
it is.
that's
sort of thing.
second
Well,
one.
that's a test. I believe it's similar to what Disney is using.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I believe that's
so
what that's what I've had to take.
So potentially you could rock up for a shift and they make you do a lateral flow test, wait 30 minutes, and then if it's positive, they send you home.
Yeah, the
So,
test I took in the Dominican was like almost instant. It was like 5 minutes.
Yeah, they have
Oh, right,
instant
that's cool.
now everywhere. Well, there are sites doing instant for a while before vaccines, and then
Yeah,
after
Walgreens does that. Yeah.
after vaccines, there's less obviously sites now. There's absolutely no temporary sites set up anymore, I believe, unless they're setting up
Yeah.
new ones now in
But I agree
Florida.
with Jalen. It is much easier just to
Yeah.
get the damn shot.
Yeah, I guess every day that you go into work, like some people work like 5 days throughout the week consecutively, and that's just a part of your daily grind. That sucks, dude. I would just get
Do you
the shot
remember
at
back
that
in,
point. Like it.
When it was bad, like there were people waiting in 8-hour lines to get tested for COVID
Yeah,
in their cars.
Oh, yeah.
That's still
When-
happening now, isn't it? There's still
Like they don't have
the
enough
queues
gas to make
for
it through the
testing
line.
is ridiculous. They've had to open a second testing center in Orange County or somewhere because like the lines are filling up. So it's the same now. There's more people queuing up to be tested for COVID than there are people rocking up to get a
the
vaccination.
vaccine, which is ridiculous because it's like you're getting treated for something that you could take to prevent it. It's weird. It's oxymoronic. It's stupid. But hey, that's America.
But I would say from a sort of an outside point of view, it was really good to see such a big company. And obviously Disney is a major employer in the US, that it's good that such a big company is kind of taking a stand and going, look, like this is what we believe in. We want our staff to be safe. So this is what you've got to do if you want to work for us. I think that's a pretty good message to send out to the world. And I know they're not the only company, so it's not like they deserve all the praise and no one else, but it's just good to see like a major company like that go, right, try and deal with the situation, because clearly everything else you've tried out there is not working.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it kind of feels like they're doing this as almost a damage control sort of thing, where they could just say, hey, most of our people, they don't have it, so you couldn't get it from us. You know, if this ever goes to court, you couldn't get it from us because for the most part, our people, or there's a very low chance of it coming from us. This came from you. Yada. I just feel like this is just them padding themselves.
Well, yeah, chances are Disney probably got some survey data back that said someone is more likely to book an expensive trip if X amount of people on
Yeah.
site are vaccinated. So the easiest way to boost that number is just to have all your employees get vaccinated. Because in a commercial, you can say, you know, or in a press release, 95% of our staff are vaccinated. We're safe. Please come here. Bring money.
That's true. I can see that also.
Sorry, I lost you a little bit there, guys.
Essentially, it's Disney, follow the money.
100%.
It's all about money with them. All right, so we're coming up against it. Does anyone here not think Halloween Horror Nights will happen this year?
All those props.
I keep seeing this.
All those props. I was just there like last week. All the props are being set up every day. Like they just keep adding more and more stuff. It's a month away, guys. I think they're just going to, like, even if things did get bad, they would have to be pretty deep in the paint before they would turn around to shut this thing down. Like I think this year they've just gone balls to the wall. They're doing it. If you die, you die. Like that's kind of, and that's fitting. It's Halloween Horror Nights, and you get to take home some of the fear with you. So it's in line with Halloween Horror Nights. You know, bring back COVID to fuel your anxiety and fear because y'all keep playing around with it like it's for fun. So yeah, bring it back as a souvenir, whatever.
If they wanted to, they could just be like, if you're not vaccinated, you're not coming. Like if that's what it comes to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because
it's a whole. Like Halloween Horror Nights, not to cut you off, Tom. Halloween Horror Nights and Howl-O-Scream horror events in general attract some new level of degenerates. They're like nighttime degenerates. They're weirdos on a whole nother different scale that you have never seen before. The barge and them told you it's going to be.
The freaks come out at night.
It's a whole, like, that's the whole reason why a lot of the stuff that we had that we used to have get cut. Like, for example, we had the girls who walked around with the IV bags. They had to get rid of those because they were getting harassed. They had to put back scare actors a little bit back so they could keep from getting hit. It's a rowdy crowd. For some reason, Halloween brings out the worst in some people and the rowdiness of some people.
Legit, in 2017, I was in Hive. Half of my cast was either quit or got fired or left because of injury or left because of like psychological torment from these guests. It's ridiculous. Nobody's ready to be a scare actor because the busy nights where there's people surrounding you at all times, you're pretty much helpless. It's sad to say.
Which also, I think that's why they're going to put the plexiglass. I think plexiglass is here to stay. Like, I don't think they're going to get rid of the plexiglass because now that's like a physical barrier that could try to protect these folks. But in the past, it's just it's been rowdy. So I would agree with Tommy. If you would put the vaccination card up there, then maybe you might not get some people who are radical, who are as radical and who are as crazy. Because Halloween, I wouldn't put it so far past somebody who would punch, harass, or do any of the stuff to scare actors or to Halloween Horror Nights property. Also, don't overlap in the same circle as somebody who doesn't want to get vaxxed. A
lot of it has to do with just the alcohol, but
that also, that too, that.
Right. Well, it's a whole new world, though. Yeah. Look at how many videos we've seen recently of people freaking out on airplanes and punching people, punching flight attendants.
Yeah, it's a weird, and it sucks because I love Halloween Horror Nights. I love it. It's such a great event for me, but there's people who come out every year. So I would have to say to err on to keep some of the crazies back. Maybe do the vaccination card thing. Do that while also taking safety precautions of things like plexiglass to protect the workers, not to protect them from COVID, but to protect them from getting punched in the face if that happens or something along those lines. It's disheartening.
In America, you've got a real degree of neurosis in the media about stuff like that. But what I would say is, so our numbers are apparently currently going down, but we had the Euro 2020 or whatever it was, the soccer tournament, and where people were getting pissed up and going around each other's houses, and the infections were spiking like through the roof. Now they're back on the way down. So it does make me wonder if it's as bad as what the media are making out at the moment, or by the time Halloween Horror Nights fully kicks in, or whether actually it is something you got to consider, like pissed up people all being together, whether it can cause like a outbreak or whatever. It's a weird. The trouble is with all of this, it's like it seems to change from week to week, and you don't know. It's just exhausting, isn't it? You don't know whether you're coming or going with it, because one minute, oh, the vaccine's going to save everybody, and next minute you've got someone preaching, oh, the vaccine don't work, and it's just like it's non-stop. We're being battered non-stop with this, like, to the point where you don't always know what to believe.
It's definitely difficult. It is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough, but I think it's happening. Is Halloween Horror Nights happening this year? Hell yeah. They got tons of money. They got this merch already made. It's happening, son. It's going on. Hell be damned. If you die, you die. Don't go if you don't want to die or get COVID or put yourself up against that wall. But it's happening.
Yeah. It's happening. It's not a question of whether it's happening or not. It's a question of what will they need to do to make sure it's happening, because because it is happening. So what steps will they take if they need to, if your cases go up crazy, but at the end of the day, it's killing the people that are refusing to get a vaccine. So that kind of gives the business a bit of like leeway to go, look, you've got to prove you're vaccinated. If you can't prove you're vaccinated, you're going to wear a face mask, and we're going to employ security around the park, and we're going to make sure you're wearing that mask. End of. Like, there's lots of things that they could do. Like, it's not a binary choice. I don't really see why people would be talking like, oh, it's happening or it's not happening. There's lots of steps in between that like end up with the same result.
But since it is happening, can we get our damn frequent fear passes?
Yeah.
Like,
No, you're not allowed. No.
I mean, fine. I'll just go once and try to do everything.
I mean, obviously, like, limited what I can comment about this, but I wondered whether they would do more like 7-day ones, or slightly shorter ones, rather than do the full, like.
Just give me the month of September. That's all I need.
So what you're talking about? Just give you like a little punch card where you can come up to 7 times, and then your pass is useless.
Like, in theory, I should be coming for 2 weeks in September, so I wouldn't necessarily want to book pay for the whole frequent fear thing. But let's say, and I've got friends on Twitter that basically said, like, I'm like, I'll base my trip on whether I can get the thing, because I want to, the week that I'm at Universal, I want to go to Horror Nights every night. So I think there's people that are coming in from out of town that have got like a 5 or 6 day trip that might have bought the frequent one before, but really only need a week to 10 days worth of visits. So will they cater for those people, even if they don't do the full season, the 45 days or whatever it is?
But at that point, you should just buy the damn pass. Like, I feel like me running the gymnastics through my head, you're probably going to end up, like, it's going to be the same price at the end of the day. I would think that'd be what, $150? The frequent fear pass, the highest one was like $180 something.
No, there was like a $600 one that was like Express Plus every night.
600?
No, but you're looking at it from the punter's point of view. I'm looking at it from Universal's point of view of, if they sell X number of these people can come to every 45 days, then that kind of ties their hands a little bit with capacity. And if capacity, say social distancing in some form, has to come back in, that they've got to accommodate for people being able to come to every single day. Whereas if they get rid of that and they've only got people that are coming for like a week to 10 day passes, so they're only doing at most 10 consecutive nights at the event, then that gives them way more capacity to do what they need to do. So I'm just thinking of it more from a business point of view. Actually, does it benefit them for this year more so than any other, to not to have to accommodate people doing the full 45 whatever days it is?
See, Chris, you asked the wrong question. You shouldn't have asked if Halloween Horror Nights was happening. You shouldn't ask if we were going to get our frequent fear passes. That was the wrong damn question you asked. Yeah. This is the juicier question right here. This is what the people really want to know.
Well, the Delta variant had a lot of people nervous about whether they were going to cancel or not. And again, this is the problem. I think Tommy mentioned this. We're on this 2-week lag with data, so it's really hard. Once you get the data, you're already in a whole different element. So all of that is yet to be determined. We've got to go for now, though. There's a lot more we're going to talk about on the next show. Jalen, where can we find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at TCJalen. I just dropped a new episode of my own podcast. You can find the link on my bio, and also at Instagram at Tomorrow's Child. Also, really quick, I made a mistake when Chris said the freaks come out at night. I said DeBarge told you.
It was
I was
not.
wrong. DeBarge, it was Houdini.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Council of Blacks, do not come after me. I'm sorry. Next person, go.
The next person who has a black card also. Ryan, where can you find you online?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
You have an honorary black card.
All right. Well, I guess
From
I'll take
who?
it if it is official. Then
We're going to talk about this once we get back to the BVA.
Let me just timestamp.
Black Variants Association. Once we get back to the BVA, we're going to have some words.
He's got half a one from me.
Counselor Oprah's going to be pissed, son.
Ryan, where can we find you online?
at Imagineer6 on Twitter. That's about it for now.
Tommy, where can we find you online?
At Tommy Hawkins. That's it. That's
Okay.
It's not that exciting.
I'm done passing out cards to people.
Just giving everybody a card. Good Lord.
Ryan,
Give them out like
Ryan-
SeaWorld gives out fun cards, son. That's just ridiculous. This is the bare minimum. Good
Ryan can
Lord.
come to the barbecue.
With what? With what? What dish is he bringing?
Whatever's
Raisin?
whatever's hot in Rhode Island. I don't know.
Oh my god, carrot coleslaw is that what we're getting?
No,
Oh my god. Some Natty Light? You gonna put with Natty Light? Oh my god. I'm disgusted. Some old duels? Is that what we doing?
Jules, no, I'll bring the cannabis. There we go.
There you go.
Oh my God. We don't need you for that, okay? God.
All right,
please.
that's all we have for this week's show. We will see you all next time.